This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Hi.
10:07 Thursday morning on WPSL. Time now for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World, US 1, across from Fort Pierce City Hall in the historic Arcade Building. And now, here's your host, Joanne Seeger.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Thank you so much for listening to Dr. Ravi last week. I'm sure that was a huge treat.
He's a lot of fun.
I love him. It's amazing because, for many, many years, I never had a consistent relationship with a chiropractor, even though I always appreciated when I would go there and they would fix me up. But Dr. Ravi is someone that I really think of as like not only a good friend, but just someone that I could always turn to for my health needs. So I hope everyone enjoyed his show last week. And I have to say, I have to give a quick testimonial for my beloved CBD oil. So in the last 2 weeks, we have put down my friend's floor, who owns a salon in the same building I'm in. We did her whole entire floor for Matthew and I. And then we went to his parents' house and did their kitchen floor. And then we stripped and painted a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, and a bedroom. And then we mulched about 90 bags of mulch. So if I didn't have that CBD oil, I don't think I'd be alive today to do my show. Amazing, the anti-inflammatory properties of this oil. So if you're not on the bandwagon yet for purchasing CBD oil, please consider it. The ones I have at my store are completely natural, the legit thing, no petroleum byproducts, no chemicals, no gimmicks, but it really works. I mean, if you can imagine lifting and, not only to put in the car, take out of the car the mulch and on your knees the whole time for the flooring. Matt and I definitely survived with our CBD oil. So I just definitely wanted to give that testimonial. And I also want to mention, too, that we have a summer special. I know a lot of people don't think about infrared sauna during this really, really hot times. But sometimes if you allow your body to sweat properly through infrared lighting system, which is near, mid, and far infrared light in a safe, controlled environment, you can get overheated really easily, and between the toxins in your body and not having enough electrolytes and being dehydrated, that can be extremely dangerous in this weather, especially for people that are not at their healthiest state. So right now we have a special, buy one session, get a second free. So I want you to consider that, okay? It really is important to get your body to sweat properly and detox properly, or else this heat can really have a detrimental effect. So if you're feeling any headaches, tiredness, spaciness, blood sugar dropping, right now you really need to take action to get your health back on track, and we can definitely help you. You do not want to mess around with these high temperatures and being outdoors and not taking care of yourself. It could really be disastrous. All right, so our breathing exercise. Yes, I have to admit, I've been trying to do more breathing exercise through all this work and all this heat. So if I have any newbies listening into the show, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. This is a simple exercise. We breathe in only through our nose for 5, we hold for 5, and we exhale for 5. And I'm going to be the counter this morning, okay? And so let's first start with a nice deep exhale. Let's exhale out any negativity, drama of the morning, rushingness, any type of anxiousness we feel or stress, okay? So there we go. Now we're going to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, and exhale through our nose for 5. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, through your nose for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly exhale for 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one last time. Nice deep inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. I hope everyone feels better. It really makes a difference, especially in this heat. Breathing through your nose and only through your nose will not raise your blood pressure. In fact, it does the opposite. So if you're feeling lightheaded, you're feeling headachy, this quick, easy breathing technique can really help ground you. All right, on to today's topic. We are going to take a virtual grocery tour in our minds. During this time, with all the kids were with us, and we let a couple of them have friends. So we had 6 kids in total with us during these projects. And it was a little mind-boggling at times. And so Matt and I decided to buy some things at the grocery store that we normally don't, and we really gave into the convenience because we were working so hard. We didn't prepare all the homemade meals that we normally do on our normal school schedule. So it was summer. I was looking at convenience and a lot of kids in and out. So I bought a few boxes of cereal. So that discussion of the cereal led me to the topic of the day. Is I was misled myself by a few of the labels. They caught me off guard. And so I want to help people, in case they're like me, understand some of the little tricks of the trade in the grocery store, how we're being misled, my gosh, by almost every section. And if you aren't aware of it, I'm hoping that this show might bring some light to the subject. And if you are aware of it, maybe like me, reminding yourself that it really is dangerous, because these things, even though maybe not so bad one in itself, but we're combining it with all these other things, and then we're consuming them every single day, sometimes 3 meals a day. That's when there's an issue. So I'm not trying to say that, everything is so evil and don't ever consume it. But the problem is most of our choices in the grocery store chains are leading us to a much more chemicalized, toxic life. All right, so the virtual tour shall begin. So we walk in, and most grocery stores are set up right away for those impulse items, those buy one, get one frees. I'm not going to really discuss them because those definitely change, but I would say that most buy one, get one free items, even though extremely tempting because of the savings, and I've definitely fallen prey to them many times, is they can sit there years upon years and not be perishable. So keep that in mind. How healthy or natural could that be just in that situation alone? And they buy it in such mass quantities. So again, that will go into by aisle to make your own decision. But buy one, get one free is definitely, there's a reason why they can sell it buy one, get one free. All right, so the bakery, usually they get the audience to go to the right and start the traffic flow. And there's that beautiful flower section making you feel all healthy and natural, all this beautiful coloring. And there is the bakery. I have nothing to say about the bakery except for do not even step in it. Do not even look at it. Don't. There is nothing healthy I can say about that corner of the grocery store. Now, are most of us addicted to that? Yes, because it is extremely addicting. All the white flour, all the sugar, all the beautifulness of it, and the smells and the aroma. But honestly, there's nothing healthy in the bakery section. I have tried when I purchase for company that comes over, and I don't want to bake, I have tried to find something, but even their packaged items that have the pretense of saying natural or gluten-free or high fiber, it's all synthetic, refined, processed flour and some form of sugar or artificial sweetener. So just again, do use your strength and walk right by. Then we're at the deli counter. So the deli counter is interesting. If you look at all those shapes and sizes of all the meat that they sell there, obviously everyone would know that there's no animal product, meat product that looks like those. So obviously any type of cold cut is processed. So I suggest if you are not a vegetarian and you're still consuming cold cut meat, processed meat, then choose boar's head. It is not perfect. There is no meat that's perfect. But out of the cold cuts, boar's head definitely attempts to make a better quality product that doesn't have the chemicals in it and all the solutions and all the artificial preservatives and flavorings and sometimes sweeteners and colors. So it is definitely the lesser of the evils. So if you are eating meat and are using cold cuts, then try to buy boar's head and also try to stick with the ones that are as basic as follows. So the turkey breast or the ham cuts. If you get like I got liverwurst and bologna, I don't even remember the names of these things. I see people buying pounds and pounds of them, and it really concerns me because those same people say, oh, well, I would never eat a hot dog because I don't know what's in it. Well, it's the same thing with those different cuts of cold cuts. They're basically making mixtures of all the leftover processed cold cut product, and I call it sludge until they form it into those nice little molds, and there you go. And so again, hey, I'm definitely guilty of enjoying a turkey sandwich, but just try to buy higher quality cuts of meat, or even better, bake your own turkey or bake your own ham if you are eating animal foods, and making the meal from that. I would say that's definitely healthier and probably less expensive. All right, so let's see what comes next. The rotisserie chicken section. Boy, the smell from those ovens are getting most people for the convenience. Definitely guilty of this one. Now, the rotisserie chickens, a lot of people grab them so quickly, throw them in the carts, and never, ever look at the ingredients. And I'm not even talking about how a chicken is raised. I am talking about the rotisserie chicken itself. Okay, so we're going to go into more about animal foods when we get to the meat section, but rotisserie chickens have so many chemicals and condiment mixes pumped into them, all with tons of sodium. I mean, tons of sodium. It's like how a can of soup has too much sodium. Let's double that. So all the sodium pumped into it, all these artificial flavorings, and they also usually have like grease to make it crispy on the outside. So it's like a combination of like even though they're not fried, technically they're putting hydrogenated oils in them and on them as well. So really not a good choice. But they do have the Green Wise chickens now. So I did buy one of those for the trip, and I did notice that there's definitely a quarter of the ingredient list, and so it's definitely has none of the extra chemicals or additives that the regular one had. Yeah, it didn't look as large, it didn't look as plump, and it definitely was not as moist. I will say that. But a whole lot healthier. So if you are eating chicken and you do want the convenience of a rotisserie chicken, at least Publix offers the Green Wise chicken. I can't speak about any other stores, but if you're going to buy rotisserie and you are at Publix, buy the Green Wise. A lot less chemical. Actually, there's no chemicals in the Green Wise. And again, it's definitely not as big, and it's a little more for your money, and not as moist, but it's definitely better quality, okay? All right, so produce. Thankfully, produce comes next. Now, I wish that I could tell you to go through the produce section and just skip on through and grab everything you see and all the beautiful colors and but unfortunately, that's not true. Unfortunately, there's over 300 different chemicals, herbicides, pesticides used on our produce today, and that's just an average. There are some with less and some with more. And even though they look all big and beautiful and perfect, that's not really how nature intended it to look. Mother Nature, does make some amazing looking fruits and vegetables, but they're not all as perfect as our stores make them out to be. So the produce getting perfect is sometimes enhanced. We have waxes and colors and all this stuff we do to make it look more consumer worthy. And, let's make it genetically modified so there's less seeds to bother us to deal with, and, brighter colors or a sweeter version. So genetics, which is not crossing sometimes a plant with a plant. Sometimes it's with an animal gene to a plant gene. So GMOs, very, very dangerous. We could do about 6 hours just on that. If you want to look up genetically modified organisms, Monsanto, same people that are, in charge of the Roundup drama, that's what you need to look into. But you want to go with organic vegetables if possible. I would definitely try to buy your produce from local organic farms or farmers market if possible. But if you do choose carefully in the supermarkets, you can find organic. Try not to find pre-wrapped things. The less plastic, the better, okay? Sometimes it's impossible. All the organic is pre-wrapped. But if you can find loose is always better. Okay, another little trick. Peru, a lot of things that we're getting now, they're getting imported, are naturally organic. For instance, so in Peru, the asparagus is all organic, but we noticed that it's $4 for the regular label, and if you buy the one that says organic, it's $7. But luckily, Peru wasn't using Monsanto seeds, and they use hawks and other natural means because they couldn't budget for a lot of the chemicals. So the asparagus was naturally organic. Now, I can say that organic also means that the soil is enhanced with good nutrition, okay? So there could be a benefit. I'm not sure if it's worth doubling the price of the product. But organic definitely means no sprays, no herbicides, no fungicides, no pesticides, and enriching the soil. And if anyone has gardened out there, especially in Florida, trying to grow a simple little home garden, it's a lot of work. So when people wonder why organic is more money, they haven't gardened, because to not use the chemicals to kill weeds and the chemicals to keep bugs away, and they use natural means, it's definitely more labor, it's definitely more time, and it's definitely more compassion for your whole garden and if your farm. So if you can support organic, that would be awesome. The more we support it, the prices will get more economical. But I definitely try to eat as much organic as possible, and there is more nutrition in organic fruits and vegetables than not. Most of our farms, because they're chemically sustained, They just use 3 minerals on average to grow a produce item, where there should be 9 to 12 that Mother Nature provided. So definitely try to choose organic and loose. But also there are hidden gems in our produce section. Little things that maybe you haven't tried that you can just consider trying because they're different and they're very nutritious. So one of the items that I love is kombucha. So kombucha I sell at my store, but it's also really famous now in most of the supermarkets. I know Publix has a humongous section of kombucha. I'll even buy it from there when it's buy one, get one free, and I'll buy a ton of it and sell it at my store because it's even cheaper than my wholesale. But kombucha has, its SCOBY is like what starts a kombucha. And it's so good for your digestive system, your immune system. It tastes refreshing. If you're trying to stick to water and trying to stay away from all the sugar and the junk out there, it's a nice alternative. It's definitely has an essence because it's fermented, which all fermented foods are super good for the gut. And remember, our gut is our second brain. It just kind of tastes like you can even make a cocktail of it, put in a wine glass. The gingerberry, to me, is to die for. Absolutely delicious. But now they have like 20 amazing flavors. You don't need to drink it all at once. That'd be a little intense. But you can sip on it, have a half a glass. It's just a really healthy beverage. I would even call it a supplement because it does help your health extremely. And it's really refreshing. So if you're looking for energy, please stay away from those convenience drinks like Red Bull and Monster that not only are super expensive, but it's just chemicalized water that is toxic and has nothing but stimulants and artificial ingredients that are very dangerous to the body. So kombucha actually is more affordable and super healthy. The next little hidden gem in the produce section is tempeh. Tempeh. Now, when I went to school for nutrition many moons ago, tempeh was every day for us. It was a Japanese household, and tempeh is fermented soybeans. And like I mentioned, fermented, always better. Easy to digest. The nutrients are more bioavailable. Tempeh does not have all the negative connotations that soy does, okay? And the brand that they have at most supermarkets are non-GMO soy. And tempeh can come in a variety of flavors. I usually just get plain and I saute it. You can bake it. You can throw it in soups. It has a nice, yummy texture. So if you're in the produce section, definitely look into that hidden gem. So we are going to go on a quick break, but when we come back, let's see. I think we're going to go to the cereal aisle next, because I'm dying to tell my cereal story. All right, everyone, stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
The cereal aisle next on Joanne's World of Nutrition after this short break.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
We now return to Joanne's World of Nutrition. Once again, here's Joanne Seeger.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning. Today's topic is a virtual tour of a grocery store. Just, a few little tips and tricks of how to get through the store the healthiest way possible. And I know it's a challenge. We are definitely battling with time issues and multitasking and just trying to get the most for our dollar. And I am so understanding of that. But there are certain things that maybe you can definitely consider changing because they are just really, really not good for us. And we need to put our dollars towards things that are promoting our health, not being a detriment. So I mentioned all the hidden gems in the produce section. I mentioned like kombucha and tempeh, but there is one more before we move on from the produce that I totally forgot about, and that is dates. Dates. I showed them to the kids, and they all looked at me like, honestly, sometimes I feel like they just look like dehydrated big bugs. They're not the most appealing looking, food item, but dates are super nutritious and super sweet. I grew up where my mom would open up the dates and put a little cream cheese in there, and she used like the homemade cream cheese, so it was like almost soury, and it was so amazing. And she put like sometimes some chopped up walnuts on top. Super healthy treat. But dates are a great way if you're trying to get away from sugar and refined food and starch, but you really, really like your sweets, especially if you like real sweet things like candy. The dates are really good for that because at least it's not empty calories. It has fiber. The body will accept it as, a non-toxic source of calories. So dates are great. You get a nice container. It seems pricey, but they're so concentrated that they will go a long way. But trust me, if you start splitting them open and putting the cream cheese and nuts on there, they're going to go quick, okay? So you can slice them real small. If you're making, a drink and you want to sweeten it just a bit, you can put a date in there. A lot of natural desserts are made with dates. But don't get this confused from date sugar. Like in nature, we have a lot of things that are naturally sweet. And then we take them and we process them and concentrate them down and make a sweetener out of them, like date powdered sugar. That's way too concentrated. And what happens? The fiber goes, the nutrients go. It's not the same thing, okay? So that's what grocery companies do. They're like, oh, look at this healthy thing. It's in all these natural recipes. And then they destroy it and process it and concentrate it and convince us that we're still consuming the fruit, just like dried fruit. Same exact example. In the produce section, you see big racks of dried fruit that look so appealing. Well, they're nice and bright in color because all the sulfur, which is a chemical on them to keep their color, and really bad, especially for headaches and cloudy thoughts. And then they're sugarized. So it's tons of concentrated sugar. So definitely stay away from the dried fruit, okay? And definitely, give dates a try, okay? Dates are absolutely delicious. And sometime before you get to the cereal section, some grocery stores are set up with the juice section. So I cannot do the show without bringing up juice. I hope all of my listeners are extremely aware that there's really no healthy juice out there. The only exception I have ever seen in the juice section is the aloe vera juice by Lily of the Desert, which is in glass bottles. That's a whole nother situation because I don't even know why they put it in this section. But all juice, okay, doesn't matter if it says organic. It doesn't matter if it has the prettiest pictures of pears or apples on the label, but it's concentrated sugar where all the fiber has been removed. In nature, the fiber is always with that sweet fruit to give your body a slow effect of the glycemic index. So the way the sugar is coming into your body. So if you make juice, you are concentrating that down. I always tell people, would you ever sit down and eat 10 oranges at once? You wouldn't do that because the fiber, the chewing, that would slow that down. You would never need 10. But glasses of juice normally contain 25 to 35 grams of sugar for a very small serving. Most people have triple the normal serving size. If you go to a restaurant, you have quadruple. That could mean during breakfast at one of those diners, you could be consuming 100 grams of sugar just from that sweet waitress keep filling up your kid's orange juice cup or your apple juice cup. Just because you're having your kids drink juice versus soda, unfortunately, doesn't make it better. And if it's not organic, it's concentrating down the chemicals as well as the sugar. So always try to stick to the way Mother Nature designed it, which is slicing up a nectarine or a peach or an apple, chewing it. Remember, digestion of starch and sugars begins in the mouth. We're meant to chew all that and have that fiber go to work to bind and slowly release those sugars, okay? So please, just like the bakery, the juice section should be avoided as well, okay? So the next is the cereal section. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I went out, bought like 4 boxes of cereal. And boy, I have to say, expensive. With a lot of this unhealthy food, junk food, fast food, most of my customers argue with me of their budget. Okay, I can buy this meal for $2, where if I go out and buy organic produce and make a meal, it's, $7 on average. Okay, so I get that. But cereal's super expensive. I mean, $4 or $5. Crazy. So, but I bought them. But the same exact day, Matt and I were researching how to paint kitchen cabinets, and the first step was the cleaning solution, how extremely important. Every YouTube video we watched on doing cleaning cabinets and, getting them ready for painting was to make sure that you grease them and you clean them and you strip them. And the only one that most of these contractors suggested was try potassium phosphate. So I was like, okay, and when I heard that on the videos, I'm like, gosh, that sounds so familiar. I remember learning about that, but what was it? Sometimes my memory escapes me. And then sure enough, it came to me when I bought those boxes of cereal. It's in our cereal that we give our kids. Isn't that insane? Now, you can go on YouTube and you can see these little mini YouTube videos of these parents flipping out because they make this discovery. Most of them that make the discovery are in the building business, the cleaning business, or the contracting business, or they're painters their whole lives, and they go to serve their cereal to their kids. They're going to pour their Honey Nut Cheerios or their Golden Crisp or whatever the different names are, and they notice that the ingredient that they use every day in their work that says irritant, dangerous, do not swallow, can burn, use gloves and eye masks, that is in their little kid cereal that's 1 year old in the high chair, and you're pouring the Cheerios on their little tray. That is scary, but that is the truth. So how do they get away with it? Well, it's on the FDA safe to approve list in small amounts. But trust me, it's only because we don't, it's money, it's influence, it's politics, no manpower, no studies to show all the different things put together. But it really makes their machines work well. It stabilizes all the acid because sugar and starch are acidic. That's why they're so dangerous and inflammatory to the body. What is cereal? It's just all refined white processed starch, which is extremely acidic. It's the most acidic thing there is. And sugar, same thing on the scale, as acidic as it goes. So you need to stabilize that. And so that's what they do. They stabilize it with a very dangerous chemical. But what's almost more hysterical is even if that dangerous chemical wasn't in the cereal, there's 10 other ingredients that we shouldn't be consuming in cereal. So, all right, I just got a note from Greg. What is he saying? Oh, he had an organic hot dog and it was awesome. Wait, that's saved for July 4th. No organic hot dogs yet, but I'm bringing that up next. So we're talking about hot dogs because I broke down and had one. So there will be a story about that as well. All right, so cereal. All right. So there are really good quality cereals in the cereal aisle, okay? They're probably double the price of the other ones. I usually buy them when they buy one, get one free, like the Cascadian Farms, the Steel Cut Oatmeal. So there are a few, like we're talking maybe 4 items out of 400 in the cereal aisle that won't be an extreme detriment, but they are all starch, and full of sugar. Okay, so they're masked as healthier or non-GMO, and very convenient, but please don't get fooled. All box cereals are just sugar and starch. Sometimes they'll say that they're adding like acai or cacao or superfoods to make it healthier. Not really true. It's still just processed sugary starch. But it's crunchy, it's sweet, it's delicious. We all are addicted to all that. You put some cold almond milk or milk on top, and people just love it. So just if you're going to choose, just at least choose what doesn't have chemicals. We don't need to add any more chemicals in our lives. We have it in our cleaning products. We have it in our environment, in our materials, in our air, in our workplaces. We don't need to put it in our bowls and consume it on purpose. So cereal, if you do buy it, check the ingredients. Make sure it has no coloring, no artificial sweeteners, and no chemicals, especially try sodium phosphate or try potassium phosphate. Either one, extremely dangerous, okay? So let's move on. I'm trying to get to a positive note. I will say with the oatmeal, I promise positive. It's another negative, unfortunately. There is another big trickery going on with steel cut oatmeal. True steel cut oatmeal takes at least 25 to 30 minutes to cook. If you see instant steel cut oatmeal, then that is not truly healthy, okay? The only way to get an oat to cook quicker is if it's been steamed or the fiber has been removed. So outer layers of the beautiful grain, which has all the nutrients, the healthy fats, the protein, the fiber, that's the only way they can make it cook faster, by processing it. So you hear all these great stories about steel cut oats and how much healthier they are for you and lower cholesterol and give you this great fiber, sustain your energy. That all is true. They have phytosterols, but that's when it's untouched. A true, like the steel cut oatmeal that I use, takes 40 minutes in a regular pot. You can buy a pressure cooker or instant pot, do it quicker, but that's still 20 minutes in those special pots. So don't be tricked by that, okay? They're using all the advertising of what a beautiful steel cut oat does, and they're pretending that theirs does that, and that's not true, okay? All right. So now we're going to go to the meat section. All right, so I mentioned about the hot dog thing. This occurred when there is in St. Lucie West, by where I live, there is a restaurant now. I'll advertise their name. I think it's called BurgerFi. The kids were like, please, these hamburgers are supposedly better. Let's check it out. And inside, they advertise that it's grass-fed beef, no hormones, no antibiotics, and super pricey. So we went in there, and they had hot dogs that had all the claims as well. And I was like, growing up in New York, my mom being German, we did the whole sauerkraut and hot dogs and sausages, and so I definitely wanted to partake. I am definitely a sucker for those emotional eating moments of bringing a memory back. So I did it. So a $7 hot dog, but you know what? I realized, and Matt and I were looking at each other, it's not even the meat for me. It's like the bun and the sauerkraut, having that combination and good old mustard. But yeah, so I'm definitely guilty of giving in to my whims. Definitely guilty of that. So if you do decide to eat hot dogs or hamburgers or meat, there are so many better choices now in that section that are affordable, especially when they're on sale. So talk to the butcher, definitely get to know them and ask them, hey, I noticed that you have Maverick beef. Maverick beef, one of the things it's famous for, and that's why it's a little pricier than the other grass-fed beef, is it guarantees from the beginning of the cow's life to the end that it's all grass-fed. They don't finish it with grain or any other substance. A lot of the ranchers, they'll claim grass-fed just like the chickens will claim free range, and they have access, but they don't use the access. So they're still cooped up in pens. They're still being fed at one point in their lives the grain. So you want to make sure that you know, right now we have smartphones in our hands when we're at our stores. So it just takes a moment to go to the company's websites or Google their name and find out. It's really hard for them not to be honest with this kind of stuff, because now we have too many people that are looking into these ranches and farms and exposing them. So the Maverick Ranch, there are other really good ranches too. I don't know all the names that start the cows and end their cows only on grass. What does that mean? It has high CLA. CLA is conjugated linoleic acid, super good for us. It has the right amount of omegas. It actually is not as detrimental as grain-fed or crop-fed cattle, which are really dangerous, super inflammatory, and that's what poses the most severe health risks for us. So grass-fed beef is a must, okay? And then free range chicken, and again, make sure it's truly free range. A lot of them claim it, but it's definitely not true. So you want to do a little research on where you're buying your chicken from. And there's a little buzzword that's tricky. It says no added hormones. That is, if you really think about that sentence, no added hormones. Oh, that sounds great, right? Well, it doesn't mean they're not raised without hormones. They don't add the hormones after. It's insane, but it's legal. So you want it to say, you know, no growth hormones given, you know, during raising. You want it to be specific, or go on their website and get the specifics of it. You really need to step out of the box and realize that the meat industry, just like every industry, is all about the dollar. So these animals are extremely mistreated and fed poorly, and that is what we're consuming. So whether for morality reasons or health reasons, you need to put your dollars to the people that care and are trying to do it the best way possible if you are choosing to consume meat. All right. Time is clicking away. Holy schmoly. Okay, condiments. So condiments are another one that's very deceptive in their packaging. These little bottles sometimes go for like $9-10. It amazes me, you know, and most of the time it's coloring, it's sweeteners, it's artificial, like, oh, so many preservatives are in these condiments, MSG, BHT. So my suggestion is, now I am not the best cook, but I'm decent enough where I know that there are fresh herbs and seasonings and spices that can make all of our food taste absolutely delicious without adding a chemical onto my food. So these condiments, you're paying a lot of money for normally crushed peppers, and all these things are available now in our supermarkets in little baggies where you can season it yourself to your liking and not be stuck with these chemicals. So MSG is the predominant chemical that's in most condiments. And they're, you know, MSG, I've done a show on that was an hour long, just discussing all the tricks to how to hide MSG in the food products. So autolyzed yeast. So monosodium glutamate definitely is in a lot of things that are seasoning because it gives it a vibrant flavor. And when I did the show, I explained that it definitely gives a sensory on the tongue, this very pleasing taste. But there are some derogatory issues because it is chemicalized now here in this country. So try to do it fresh herbs, fresh seasonings, and do not do the condiments unless you turn over the bottle and actually look at the ingredient panel and make sure it's just herbs and spices or vinegars and nothing else added. Do not go by the front of any packaging, because the front where it says sugar-free, fat-free, non-GMO, all these things doesn't necessarily make it better, okay? And there's a lot of hidden sugars and condiments. I went to, we were making Greek salad just a couple nights ago, and I wanted to make it authentic as possible, and I didn't know how to make Greek salad dressing. So there was one brand at the supermarket that said, all natural, no high fructose corn syrup. It had like 3 buzzwords, and Matt said to me, "Oh, does that look good?" And I said, "Well, it shows on the front like all the things that you're trying to avoid, right?" And I turned it over, and there was other chemicals in it. And it's just amazing because it knew what to put on the front that people are addressing right now. You know, what's popular right now. No high fructose corn syrup, non-GMO. Like, it got me so mad that there was still junk in it. And I didn't buy it, you know, and I did find a brand that was clean, but it wasn't in Greek. I could not find one clean version of Greek salad dressing. I mean, that's sad. There's like 200 salad dressings, and I could only find a few, like 3 bottles that were clean without junk in it. So, you know, definitely, I think cheaper and healthier to make your own, but I do realize not all of us, you know, are Martha Stewart out there and knowing how to like make all these recipes. But I would just try to buy as clean as possible. And it was actually, oh my gosh, I feel bad now. I can't remember the brand that we ended up going with. But even the natural ones, like the vegan ones, if you see vegan on a product, it doesn't necessarily make it better, okay? You definitely have to be careful. There's sometimes more chemicals and stabilizers and processing in that than anything. So you really do not fall for the buzzwords, okay? The buzzwords mislead us all the time. I do want to mention something in case I run out of time. Plastic. So we went and spent a little time at the in Venice Beach, Florida, a beautiful little town, and it's right near Sarasota. And we went to the Sarasota Oceanographic Eco Museum. Super cool place. And one of the things that they taught us there that I've learned before, and I've seen all the YouTube video and I've watched the documentaries, but I need reminding all the time because I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're brainwashed or what it is about not using plastic bags. But one of the things that I didn't know is that the fish definitely think the plastic bags are like a jellyfish. How they showed them, how they look so much like them when they get bundled up and they're floating with water inside them. And so the fish mistake them and they eat them and then they die and they get toxic. So not only does it make our oceans toxic for obvious reasons because the plastic doesn't break down, but it's killing our fish too and polluting our beautiful world. So try to bring your bags. You know, we always try to put ours back in the car. Definitely not a perfect system. And if anyone has a perfect system on how they remember their bags, please call the store and let me know because sometimes I forget. But definitely try not to use the plastic bags there. Try to bring your own bags. That would be really, really important. Okay, cheese section. Let's do the cheese real quick. Please don't buy your kids the string cheeses, the ones that are in shapes and animals and single serve size. They put plastics in there, not only to make them for the shape, to hold their shape, but also the consistency. So buy hard block cheese, buy organic if possible. There's so many concentrated hormones that are in our dairy foods. So if you are going to consume dairy, please do it moderately and only organically. You do not want to add more hormones into your child's life. We already have kids having hormonal issues, especially young girls. They're having their menstruation way too early. If you are consuming milk products, buy the grass-fed milk. Support the grass-fed. It's really important to remember that One thing alone, not a big deal, but we're consuming all these things I mentioned. Every day I see all these well-intended parents that are loading up their carts with, buying Sprite instead of Coca-Cola because it's clear. No difference. Still is toxic. Buying organic Oreos because they're organic. Still is toxic. Gluten-free, another big problem, okay? Gluten-free. It was intended to make us better, but now we're using an excuse to eat more processed carbohydrates. So stay away from processed food in general. Sorry the show was so negative, but I hope it was insightful. Have an awesome week, everyone. I'll be on vacation next week, July 4th, so I guess we'll throw a repeat on. Have a great week, everyone.
This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast. It's 11 o'clock.